Hello and welcome to Sports Talk. My name is Jamie Kepp and I'll be the host for today's show. We have a special guest to us coming to us from Milwaukee, Cruz Valeriano. Certainly happy to have him. I was his high school basketball coach his senior year of high school, and boy, he sure has blossomed with the game as a young adult, and now we'll say a middle-aged adult. Cruz, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Coach. I appreciate you.
Happy to have you. How about a little personal background about yourself that you care to share with the viewers?
Well,
It may even involve basketball.
yeah, I think it's going to involve basketball. Just grew up, loving the game of basketball, man. We were talking about, I'm a fifth generation Mexican American. That we're not really known to play basketball like that. Soccer, baseball is one of the main sports, but for whatever reason, I just kind of got glued to the game of basketball, and it just really helped me from a young. Basketball saved my life, to be honest. You know, growing up in the South Side in the '90s, where it was like a lot of gangs, talking about colors. I was like really in crossfire between one gang and another gang on different sides of the street. So, you know, the game of basketball has really helped me. I used to get passes because I used to have a ball in my hand. I wasn't involved in no gangs, and they were just like, "Little homie, he just wants to play basketball, man. Let him through." And so it really saved my life, man. And it kept me accountable too. Like when, policemen would come by and stop people, another policeman would stop and be like, "No, he's good. Like he's a basketball player." And so it really helped open the doors for me, and it really saved my life. So I can't repay basketball, man. It's really a game changer for me.
It's pretty cool when it is, because I think about this, as we talk about the show, how ironic that both of us went to the same darn high school. You
Yeah.
think about that, and through so many different years, and there's such a pride point. You think as yourself as an adult, and with hoops, we probably had the same chip on our shoulder, just from different backgrounds.
Yeah, we really did. I mean, we're both, I guess you could say, small guards.
Right.
Always got something to prove. You don't want to be the weakest one. So yeah, man. I mean, I just kind of took that approach in life as well. Point guard is one of the position that I loved and grew up playing. So. Me just kind of like observing and always kind of like putting people in their positions and in place, man. And that's kind of like really helped me develop as a human being, man. Sports really translates into like my life, not a pushover. You're not gonna let somebody walk over you. You're not gonna let somebody take your ball.
Right.
You're not gonna let somebody score on you without trying to get back at them. So it's just kind of like I just took that approach in life as well.
Well, it's nice when the same lessons can go
Yeah.
from say real world to hoops and anything else, because a lot of times when things aren't great in life, hoops is like, whether that's 2 hours or 4 hours or 6 hours, depending upon whatever time period, it's an escape from reality too.
Yeah, it is. Anytime you step on the court, man, someone always told me, like, no matter what you're going through, once you step on the court, you're locked in, and this was before Mamba mentality type of thing, man.
Right.
But it was just one of those things where, the basketball, just listening to the ball, like dribble, like just you're dribbling on the floor, just in an empty gym. That still gives me chills to this day, man. Like, so the game is it's treated me well. It's treated me well. Now I'm doing it for a living as well.
Well, now you think about how the game did something for you, say at a young age. First, keeps you out of trouble. Keeps you alive.
Definitely.
And then you have, all of us get to a young adulthood, and we probably all make decisions that, you look back at, and we're not always proud of all of our decisions, and boy, you're hoping that you made them through, and now you sometimes wonder, and boy, there's some grace from upstairs that we made it through.
Oh yeah, definitely.
With some bonehead decisions. And now you're kind of in the other, you've kind of transformed into the giving back piece.
Yeah.
So where did the care or the interest of making other people better, kids-wise, from all different walks of life, why is that important to you?
I think my motto is I want to be the person that I wish I had when I was young. Like I said, I wasn't trained by nobody. I'm a Mexican American boy. You know what I'm saying? My parents didn't realize how passionate I was about basketball and the game. I mean, just growing up watching NBA Inside stuff. Like I said, I had no trainer, but I would go and train myself. Just watching Tim Hardaway do a move, the killer crossover. I'm literally with my spiral notebook, and I'm like, okay, between the legs, left to right to left crossover, and didn't know the details of how he set him. I didn't know anything, but I'm over there mimicking it, the dream shake. You know, you're trying to do the Charles Barkley monster dunk, you know, on the lower rim, of course. But you know, you're you know, KJ, you're trying to mimic all that. The no-look passes. I mean, I remember putting up like soda cans on my picnic, and I'm trying to do a no-look pass like Jason Kidd, and I'm trying to hit the can off the picnic table, you know.
Right.
And my dad would have a VHS, you know, the old school, you gotta, you know, the big ones, the big boxy ones, and he would let me take it outside, and I would record myself doing all these moves, and you know, I'm trying to mimic their body movements and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, just, you know, I always just want to be like the person that I wish I had, you know. I didn't start getting that until probably when I was like 18 or 19 years old. I was a late bloomer, of course, playing for you. I only played 1 year. I had a heart issue.
Right.
You remember, like, I wasn't allowed to be in the gym. You know,
And looking back now, knowing what I know, it had to just about kill you.
Yeah. It was the time. It was in the year 1999 where it was like a lot of people like nationally were just dropping like flies on the court, and I remember you telling me like I can't be responsible for that, and you probably saved my life because of that too. But you know, yeah.
Because you sure as heck would have done something while we're doing something other end of the gym.
Yeah, you know, I would have, I would have. I mean, you observed me long enough. We were just talking about it. Like, you know, I remember I just came off of 1 year playing football. I was the starting quarterback. Just played 1 year. Grades was always an issue. Not really, but my parents were just like, you know, if you brought home 1D, so I could bring home a 2-point, whatever. And if I brought home 1D, I wasn't allowed to play that sport. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. But anyways, so it was one of those things. I finally got it all together my senior year, and the varsity coach wanted me to play football for like the longest. I had a cannon for an arm, and I think if I could remember, I'm not trying to boost myself up or anything like that. But when I left, I thought they said that I was the only 1,000-yard passer when I graduated from Juneau. So I made the paper a few times and stuff like that, but got recruited by some D3 schools or something like that. But yeah, it was just one of those things where you were a new head coach that year, and I remember you pulling me to the side and you were just like, hey, I know who you are. I play football as well. Like I said, we're both undersized guards.
Right.
So maybe you saw a little bit of that chip in me, but I remember you telling me like, yeah, you know, and then you're good to go. You know what I mean? Just and you had that little pep talk, and then I had that heart issue that sidelined me for a while, and wasn't allowed to be active because of, you know, the whole blood clots, or the doctors were scared of whatever. And so I remember
there's so much unknown.
It really was.
Now there's so many treatments, and there's so many things people can watch for, or look for, and symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to work my way back. I remember I didn't know any plays. I wasn't allowed in the gym, so I didn't know any plays like that. So you know, it was high school was such a blur. But I just remember, like, you know, I didn't know any plays and just kind of going with the flow. And I was never like a show, like a flashy guard or anything like that. Real basic John Stockton, Jason Kidd type of. And I think you could work with that. You know, if I had all these bad habits, you know, I don't think I probably would have lasted.
No, probably not. What made you go to Juneau, living where you grew up?
My mom, she used to work at a Northside doctor's office, a family doctor's office. So it was a real small. So it was like I lived on the South Side, but I went to all like Northside schools. Like I went to Congress, I went to Steuben, and then I went to Juneau. So I think that's probably where soccer wasn't a favorite sport at Congress and Steuben, you know what I mean? The North Side from the South Side, it was like across the bridge, just two different cities, you know?
Okay, how ironic is this? So Congress, and my last house in Milwaukee, I was right by Lindsay Park. So I was probably 4 blocks from Congress School.
Yeah.
And then I taught at Steuben when I came in the city.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
So the year I would have coached you, I was still teaching at Steuben.
Yes, you were. I think I remember you telling me that, to be honest. Yeah, I think so. We have a little bit more, you know.
You just think about small world. Now, I'll make one little correction. Both me in 1986 and my brother in 1978 both threw for over 1,000 yards at Juneau.
Oh, okay. So then I wasn't.
So I led the city conference in passing, and he was all city quarterback.
Oh, okay. So you led him in.
I led the whole city conference, all 14 schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I have more yardage than him.
You maybe would say you had more yards. Who knows? It doesn't matter.
I don't want to be the Al Bundy guy. Yeah, I threw for 5 touchdowns.
You look at those similarities.
Yeah.
You know, and it is, and you do have a chip on the shoulder. And the chip doesn't stay with one sport.
You're right.
The chip is like, you know, I think back to Juneau, and I can't say the name of the person because you know who it is, but there was a person who said, why would you take this job and walk through the gym? And Coach Pingello was with me at the time, and I told him, Dave, we made a little eye contact. He held the door, and this guy was a teacher in the building, and I took him like this, and I threw him out of the gym and said, don't ever step back in my gym, and threw him out of the gym. He's like, why would you come and take this? You can't do anything with these guys. You can't win here. You can't, like all the negative stuff.
Right.
Oh my God, we turned it from a place, and I don't take any credit, but we turned it from a place where everyone wanted to come play to no one in their right mind wanted to come play there because they're going to expect to get beat.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a more home court advantage.
Right.
The small. I tell referees all the time when we talk about it, and we say, I ref for this. I said, did you ever ref for Juneau? And they said, no. I said, you've never refed until you refed at Juneau, and you have a garage door 6 inches behind the baseline,
and those
you got
yellow
a brick
lights,
wall.
the yellow lights beaming on you.
Yellow lights and pillars and things like that.
Exactly.
But all those upbringing things, so you think about, sports in general, but hoops. Where would you be if sports or basketball was in your life right now? Where would you have been through your adult life the last 20 years?
Man, I don't.
Lost.
Lost, or
or in trouble,
or dead. To be honest, from where I'm from, you don't make it out like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in the '90s, where it was so heavy on gangs. It's crazy. But like I said, it really saved my life. Basketball has really saved my life, man. So it gets a lot of credit. That and my wife. My wife gets a lot. More credit than basketball.
So let's talk about this this assistant coach at the home front that supports you, gives you the freedom to do all this basketball with all these other people's children and make all those personal and family sacrifices. Go ahead for a few minutes on this topic.
Oh, man, I don't want to spend too long because, it might turn into one of the violin in the background. But everything. She's everything. She's the staple. She's the pillar in the house. So, yeah, she's the queen. My little one says, Mom, you're the queen. I'm the prince and daddy's the king. And so it's like, that's just really how it is. Without her support, this wouldn't have been possible at all. So she's the one that told me to go ahead and start, my own training. She was like, hey, I maxed out. I didn't have no degree. I probably got like some sophomore credits in college. No degree, maxed out at like $17 an hour, man. And I was just tired of working for people. And she just said, hey, everybody's always asking you to train their kids because they seen my kid out there and he was doing doing really good as a standout at a young age, and who trains this kid, and then everybody would come and hit me up and text me or call me, and I had my own AAU program at the time, and I would just say, I don't have time to train. I'm stuck with my class of 2021. I want to make sure that they're good. You know what I mean? And so. Did that, and then she was like, I was just kind of being miserable. Like, I was happy in the gym. Happy in the gym, and she just told me, like, you're good at training. Like, you train your son Trey all the time. Like, train other people's. What are they going for? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know you could make money training. I know coaching. I know, like, the little jobs of, basketball, strength and conditioning coach and all that stuff. I know you're getting paid, but I didn't. Back in the day, I didn't know training was a thing. You know what I mean? So she was just like, sink or swim, I'm with you. Whatever it is, I'm with you. So she was like, go back in all your texts, go back in all your inboxes, and just tell them that you're training. And I did exactly that. So I went from the very first week that I said I'm training, I had 2 clients. Next week I had 7. By the end of the month, I think I had like 11 or 12. And then it just started snowballing effect. And then soon enough, I had like 35 clients at one time, and then. Yeah, it just kind of kept on snowballing.
How do you keep the fire in your belly?
Man, the game is evolving. Like, it's evolving. So I think one thing is, like, watching basketball. Man, I'm up to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock watching basketball. My wife's telling me to come to bed, trying to study with one eye open and stuff like that. But, I think as you get older, to keep the fire burning, you got to like step away from it a little bit and then come back. Like, it was just so much basketball. Like, my mind was just about to explode, just like so full. And then I just learned to kind of like just watch a movie, or spend more time with the family and just try not to watch anything of basketball. As hard as it is, stepping away and then coming back after a while, it's really kept like the fire burning, to be honest.
How do you separate the dad piece of training with the training piece of training?
Man, that's tough.
I'm hoping it's $1 million question. I'll get rich off it.
Yeah, that's tough. I think, you know, you read these tweets and you look at Instagram and, you know, it's the same. Like, I think every trainer has an issue with that. You just live and you grow. Like, you live and you learn. Honestly, like, there's a lot of I'm sorry's to my son. Like, man, I didn't mean to do that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, my bad. You know, I shouldn't have said it like that. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of those situations. So I think the key is to say I'm sorry. That's the key. I think that's the key, man. To really say I'm sorry, I messed up. Hey, man, I really don't know. You're my first one. Now my second one is probably a little bit different because you know better, so you do better. You know.
Right.
So.
Do you ever go watch any high school games of people that you train, whether it be females or males, and is it just varsity level or different levels, or what do you go watch as like a semi-fan while still having the trainer in the back of your melon?
Man, I do, because that's a lot of my clients, they're family, so they're the Big Dreams familia, man, like for real. Like, I try to be, you know, it's just not on the court, it's off the court, and they are all understanding, knowing that I have a family as well. And, you know, they're very appreciative. And when I step out, all the kids are saying, like, you know, they'll always thank me for coming out. And I think my families really know, like, I'm a family guy. I'm a basketball guy to the fullest as well, too. So just going and watch them, man, and it's hard to kind of turn off as a coach, too. I mean, I coached at all different levels as well. I had a private school head coaching job, like in my early 20s as well. So. Coaching some of the big names in like men's basketball leagues, like the Larry Houses, like the Tobias, and you know, all these guys, and having to deal with their egos and stuff like that. So that really has helped me a lot too. But just watching the game, it's so hard. It's just like, oh, you should have done this, or there goes your scoring line, like rip and go. You know what I mean? The help side defense is gonna come. You got to read the tag guy. So it's just kind of like, oh man, you're going through all this stuff, and then sometimes you're questioning. Not sometimes, I'll say a lot of the times you're questioning what in the world is this coach doing right now.
I was just going to ask you, how do you take a step back so that you don't portray those questions to your clients or the kids with criticizing their own coach?
Oh man, I can't.
It's got to be tough.
Honestly, you know, I can't say that I don't do that.
Okay.
But I do try to like watch film with them and say, yeah, you know, I know he or she wants you to do it this way, but, you know, okay, great. Now, if nothing is there, try to go and, you know, basketball is always trying to, you know, you're trying to shrink the defense, you know, shrink the defense or keep the ball moving, you know, put the defense in the blender. That's basketball. So I can't see if you're going downhill and you're making the right read, I can't see why the coach would get mad at you. And if they are, I apologize. I don't know. You know, sometimes a lot of this coaches right now, it's kind of like, it's kind of hard to understand where they're coming from.
Well, I have two views. The first view is, and I'll make this a combo between referees and head coaches.
Yeah.
The referees are such a shortage of referees.
Yeah.
The referees have never been worse than they are because they're rushed to the varsity level.
Yes. And
they have no idea how to do a three-man crew. The other referees are a little bit getting older. They can't move the same. They have the instinct, but it's been so long since they played, they're dependent upon their positioning and things.
Exactly.
And head coaches have never paid their dues to be 5 or 10 years on the freshman, 5 or 10 years on the JV, an assistant varsity coach, or coach in college and come back.
Yeah.
And so now the bad combination is those people are at the head coaching level, probably immature where we were in our early 20s and mid-20s.
Yeah.
And now they're going to lead a bunch of teenagers without the experience or the coping mechanisms, or without not having the bag of tricks to go into when someone else is, you know, running this zone or this man or this gap's open or this baseline or whatever the situation is. Yeah. There's no way. They're just not prepared for it. Now you get inexperienced referees with inexperienced coaches, and it's some bad basketball.
Very bad basketball, man. And like you said, I think it's a changing of the times as well. Exactly. Like the older are retiring, or they, you know, speaking of the refs are retiring, or they're just staying a little bit too long.
Right.
And also, like the older coaches are retiring or staying a little bit too long as well. You know, and then the young ones that are coming up, like you said, they haven't paid their dues, and a lot of them, you know, I would say like don't know what it's like to go to war on the floor. They don't know. Like sometimes the angle, if they think they saw something, they really didn't. You know, you got to trust your players out there as well. A lot of times, you know, they haven't studied the game like that, so they don't understand. They don't go to the highly and score and be like, man, what do you see out there?
Right.
They don't inquire about that stuff. All that stuff is like, it's needed. You can't be so high on the mountain that you can't come down and talk to anybody. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. I know what you mean. You know, I'll give you an example right now, and I'll start with a funny story. Then it'll probably stay funny.
Yeah.
So we mentioned before how, you know, Marshawn's still a good friend of yours.
Yes.
You know what Marshawn got in the mail today?
What was that?
His high school blue and white game shorts. So you and me, both we're not really the size you were in high school, the width.
Yeah.
We probably fit into them, but I could think about those shorts. So I sent them in the mail to him. He just got them today.
Oh, okay.
You know, so right now, I tell people on the show, when we're taping this show, it's in mid-February. It's probably going to air probably in March, late March, early April, somewhere in there. So it's not like today in April,
Okay, yeah.
or something like that. And obviously he's in Texas, but I can remember when I brought up to him the day he got them. So I was in the coach's office with Coach P, and they were big. I mean, they were big.
Big
and
buys.
he never had a size. In high school, he never had a pair of shorts over size 34. So I'm going to say conservatively, he was probably 6'3" and probably north of 300 pounds.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably a safe way to put it.
Yes.
And so that's not a 34-inch waist.
No, sir.
So, and even today when I talked to him, he's like, no one ever got me anything that ever fit me before. And I can remember when I was we were in a playoff game. We won the first 2 playoff games that year against in both West Dallas Hale and West Dallas Central. And I remember watching film when we were talking about something serious, and Marshawn's giggling. Well, he's 300 pounds and whatever. He's giggling like a little schoolgirl.
Yeah.
And then I said, Marshawn, what's so funny? You know, you're not blocking out at all in the game. I said, what could possibly be so funny? He said, geez, I look good in my shorts. And I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and then we can
definitely hugging him. I know that.
You know, but now they were the big ones.
Yeah.
You know, and so they were baggy past his knees. He felt like he fit in like everybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember because he was the only one that was allowed at Juneau to have a backpack at school, because before I'd go to Steuben, I'd stop with a bunch of candy from Sam's Club. He'd sell it during the day, and that's what we used to buy the uniforms. And then.
Look at you, man. Look at you.
So we hustled a long time ago. So
Man.
the next day, he'd give me the money. I'd give him more candy, and we'd go back and forth for the entire. So Dr.
man.
Moore was the principal at the time.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
called me. She says, "Hey, Marshawn's got a backpack." I said, "I need Marshawn to keep that backpack during the school day."
See, that's what's up, Coach. I didn't know that. Well, that's tough right there. That's good.
You know, and you think about between the uniforms and the travel and the winning. You know, when you talk about the camcorder, we had one that was. We didn't have a battery. We didn't have any money, because when we started, we had 8 practice uniforms in the whole program and 4 basketballs, because everything else had gotten stolen. So I'd borrow them from Holy Cross every day, now Woodland School, and I'd come back and I'd go down to Stritch and get the balls from Stritch, where I coached it 6 years before, for practice every single night because we didn't have enough balls. And then I can remember that we got new practice jerseys that first year. And just because we won a raffle at the MPS thing, and I tried to come in incognito,
Yeah.
and then we won the raffle for the $1,500 for 2,000. There was no incognito after that.
Yeah, man. I don't think that was luck, Coach. Knowing how you was hustling and doing stuff in the background, I think you had something to do
But
with
it's
that.
fun though, you know. And I see you smile, and I mean, there wasn't a lot of pride playing hoops at Juneau,
No,
you know, because you got made fun of on the bus, you got made fun of in the neighborhoods,
Yeah.
and different things like that.
Yeah.
And then when you turn the corner, then it's a pride piece, because even if no matter how your team is, I mean, you think about your team, your last year winning, you won 2 playoff games. That's the first 2 playoff games in a long time for the regional championship.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's Division I. We're the smallest school with 700 kids.
Right. I remember it was a big deal, man. We used to talk about it in lunch, like all we need to do is like win 2 more games or 1 more game, and I forgot how many games it was, but it was like
2 more to state.
Yeah, and then we're there.
Yep.
And we really believed like we were gonna get there, man. And you changed the culture of that whole school, man. So, you know, props to you, man. And you were doing a lot behind the scenes that, you know, we don't even know about when we're going through it. But I could definitely relate to that now. You know, doing a lot of things behind the scenes.
And no one has any idea you're doing them.
No, I'm over there at Bridgewater Performance. It's a gym over in Franklin, Wisconsin. So it's on the, you know, kind of like borderline of Franklin and Milwaukee. So it's kind of out there, and you know, I deal with a lot of the suburban kids and stuff like that, and some city kids. But I'm able to deal with that demographic of clients, and I'm able to go back into the city and, you know, bring some of my people back over to the gym, and a lot of times everybody's like, well, Ace is about the money. It's about a business. You got to
Right,
keep it
sure you do.
professional. I am, but they don't know about also the giving back that I do as well. And you kind of keep that to yourself because you don't really need to, blast it on social media every day that you're bringing some kids from the city to where you're at,
Right.
And it's a cool gym. We got murals of like LeBron James, Kobe. I mean, the gym has a great vibe to it. We're blasting, rap music, all types of like upbeat type of music, and the grunting and the clanging of the iron of the weight. So the vibe is great. So when you're pulling kids from the north, south, east, west side of Milwaukee and you're bringing them over there, they're looking at this place like, wow, like this place is pretty dope.
It's almost a different world. It's not a thing, because I think growing up, I never went on vacation anywhere. I never left the state.
Wow.
And you just didn't know anything, And
Yeah.
I think when I hear you say that, and going to Franklin or going wherever else, that might as well be a different state.
Yeah.
Or a different country in some cases.
Yeah, for real, because the policies and rules are different, and you got to do things differently than when we grew up in the gyms. It's pretty much free for all in the city.
Yep.
Now you go to this gym and it's like there's some order, and it's like no, you can't do that right.
There's a little structure.
Yeah, some structure, that you got to get used to. But we need those type of things when especially with young kids nowadays. So, but yeah, there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes that I didn't know that about you, but I could definitely relate. I could definitely relate, man. I definitely remember the book bag though, and I didn't know it was full of like candy. I really didn't.
Everything it was. 'Cause a few years later than when I was teaching at Juneau, we had intercession, and I would sell Flamin' Hots and bottles of soda and Pepsi out there. I'd go down to the bookkeeper every day with like $80 of change in dollar bills. And then whoever was on the team would have the big black, it would look like a big morgue bag. And we'd have stuff in there every day, and there'd be a line outside end of every classroom. And I'll tell you, the Flamin' Hots we'd sell about 100 of them to 200 every day.
Oh man, I'm already knowing they're very popular. Even to this day, right now, Flamin' Hots is what's going on, especially walking tacos and all that stuff, man. So very cheap meals.
It is. No, there's no question. So you think about this, we're getting ready to wrap the show up. Right now, just kind of the ending piece. What would you like to share about the importance that you haven't shared already, or just reiterate the importance of being on a team, being a teammate, the sports piece besides the skill aspect, and the importance through life?
Yeah, just sports is much needed. It brings structure. We were just talking about structure. So it's the structure of like not caring only about yourself but about others. And I think we live in a time right now where social media is like really, really out there, and everybody's doing these selfies and making these videos and trying to like get their clout up, and just trying to like get more followers. And it's always about me. Look what I'm doing. And that's cool. And for the business side of things and stuff like that. But sometimes, people get stuck in that fake world of social media. And I think when you deal with sports, I think that's, you're really thinking about others, and you're really trying to lock in on what the head coach is trying to talk about. So just thinking about others and not yourself. That's an aspect in life that that is valuable, like super valuable. Like
Sure is, because every career it's going to be beneficial for at whatever aspect.
Right.
And everyone's going to pull a little bit different from it.
Right, and that doesn't mean you can't improve. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't improve yourself neither. Like improving yourself is great, because a better you equals a better us. You know what I mean?
Sure
But
does,
that doesn't mean selfishness, though.
It sure does, because there's nothing that replaces the growth mindset, especially when there's a reflection piece that goes back in the mirror.
Yeah, definitely.
No one needs to tell you. We all know our faults and we know our strengths.
Definitely, but and that's another thing that you need as well. When you're talking about team, you need a community around you to tell you like, hey, you're doing too much, or hey, you're not doing enough, or hey, keep your head up, keep your chin up, and those are things that we need in the team aspect, in that atmosphere, and just having the support of your brothers or your sisters or on the team that you can always rely on, because you don't know what these kids go back and deal with at home. That's their reality. You know what I mean? So sports saved my life. We talked about that. I probably won't be here. I probably won't be here without basketball. So I'll say basketball specifically, but
Right.
yeah.
It's a great way to end the show. Once again, our guest now goes by the name of Ace, and you can certainly see the stuff that we'll put on the bottom of the screen for the things he's associated with. certainly humble and gives back to the community and has made a business out of basketball as well. Certainly a family man and takes care of everything that way as well. So it's pretty darn impressive to have gone to the same school with him, had the privilege and opportunity to coach with him, or coach him as well. Once again, this concludes another edition of Sports Talk. Until next time, keep talking sports. Thanks. Good to see you,
Thanks,
too.
Coach.